it's me Harley, back at it again for yet another video, and today I am going to be talking about a couple of my piercing horror stories. As you can probably tell, I've got quite a few piercings, and over the years, because I've had them for quite a while, I have got some stories to tell you. I do have my nape pierced, and that has been a bit hectic, and that deserves a whole video on its own. So I might do that at some point in the future, but for the time being, I am going to do my non-nape piercing horror stories. And what has prompted me to do this, you might ask? I had a bit of a horror story happen to me only about a week ago. I was literally in a car park, about to go shopping with my mum, and I reached up, touched my ear, because I thought, oh, it's a bit itchy, I wonder where that is. And literally, with the lightest touch, I touched my upper conch piercing out of the two conch piercings I have, and I felt it snap in half. Now, this isn't bad quality jewellery. This is stainless steel, and it shouldn't have broken. I don't know how or why it broke. I don't remember bashing it in any way to explain why it suddenly snapped in my ear, but it snapped and literally cut my ear and made it start bleeding. Yay! So guess what I had to do? I had to go to M&S and buy a reasonably priced but not cheap pair of earrings to shove through my piercing, because I thought, with this broken bar, it's come out. There's nothing I can do about that. But I don't want my conch healing over because I've ripped a hole in it again. And, well, I've never ripped a hole in it other than the time it was pierced, but I don't want to lose this piercing. So when I got home, I decided to put a new bar in, only to realise I haven't got any bars long enough, really, to go through my piercing. But I also knew that a standard like earlobe piercing little bar is really too small. So at the moment, I have a tongue bar in my ear. Lovely. So it looks really ridiculous at the moment, but my piercing shop, the place I go to, isn't open yet. It will be soon, hopefully, but with lockdown, it's still closed. So for the time being, my upper conch has to do with a tongue bar, because it's that or nothing, and I'm not losing this piercing. So that's that done. Oh my gosh, I don't know how to go about this. Before I begin on this story, I do not in any way, shape or form condone piercing yourself at home. Especially when it comes to tongue piercings. Now then, I got my tongue pierced at 15 years old. Yeah. Some people would say that's too early to get your tongue pierced, and in many ways I agree. And why did my mum let me go and get my tongue pierced? Well, she didn't really let me go at all. It was a matter of she takes me or something horrific happens. So, just a bit of backstory on tongue piercings. I have loved them since I was tiny. Like, literally about 4 or 5 years old. I can remember the reason why I love tongue piercings so clearly, because when I was about 4 or 5, it was before I moved to Market Harbour. I was still in Oadby at the time, but I remember that a couple of my best friends, who were brother and sister, their older sister, who I thought was so cool, had her tongue pierced. And this was like in the noughties, so it was really very fashionable as well. I didn't know about that. But I remember thinking her tongue piercing was so cool and wanting one. this never faded with me. I wanted a tongue piercing just because I thought they looked so pretty and cool throughout the years until I was 15. And I decided I couldn't wait any longer. At this point, I had 4 earlobe piercings, so 2 doubles. I had my nape pierced with a surface bar, which I no longer have. I now have 2 dermals there. As I said, completely different story. But I had those piercings and I wanted a 6th. I hadn't even got ear cartilage ones at this point. So I begged and begged and begged my mum for it. And she went, no, I'm not giving you one. I'm not taking you to get one done. You're too young. I don't like them. I'm not taking you. Well, persistent little me decided, well, if she's not going to take me, and I can't take myself because I'm under 16 and I haven't got any way of getting a piercing at a studio without a parent's consent, I ordered a piercing kit online. Clamps and everything. Oh, such a genius idea. I was getting a bit chicken about the idea of piercing my tongue myself. So I went to my mum. You do know I've ordered a piercing kit online, don't you? And she was like, what? I said, well, if you're not going to take me to get my tongue pierced, I'm going to do it myself. And she went, no, you are bloody not. And almost straight away took me to a piercing studio to get it done professionally. Thank you, Mum. Oh my God. She knew that even if she got to the piercing kit before me, I'd just order another one, and eventually I'd get to the piercing kit before she did and do it myself. So to avoid that happening and to avoid some kind of catastrophe and like blood everywhere and an A&E trip, and for my own health and safety, she took me to get it pierced. And I remember the piercer was like, okay, we will do it because you've got consent and stuff, but why are you getting your tongue pierced at 15? And my mum just went, if we didn't have it done here by a professional, she'd do it at home, and I'm not ready for that. Obviously at 15, I hadn't looked into just how dangerous tongue piercings can be. If you didn't know, there is a really, like, thick, I think it's an artery, yeah, it's an artery in your tongue. And if you pierce through that, you can literally bleed out from it. Now then, something you may not know about my tongue piercing is it's not exactly straight. Now then, if I stick my tongue out like this, it looks pretty straight. It's only when I do this that you can see just that it's not. It goes to the side a bit. And that is because the artery in my tongue, with the positioning that I have my artery, is if it was completely straight, it would puncture the artery and there'd have been blood everywhere and it would have been a bloodbath. And obviously I didn't know about that at the time. So it's as straight as it can be for me, which generally looking and generally seeing, unless I tell you otherwise, you don't notice it. So that is my story about getting my tongue pierced at 15 and why my mum let me do it. The funny thing about my tongue piercing is people say that, like, oh my gosh, it's so bad, I can't eat for the next couple of days, I'm eating liquids. I was literally eating muffins and crisps and stuff within 10 minutes. I literally went to a Costa coffee and I had a packet of crisps and a muffin and a cup of tea, and I just didn't have any problem at all with it, because apparently I have a high pain tolerance, but I was totally unaware of that at the time. I'll go on to do a final piercing horror story for today, and that would be the time I got my earlobes done for a second time. Now then, technically I have had 6 earlobe piercings, but I only have 2 sets that are remaining. And the reason why is because I originally got pierced with guns. Yes, this is a story about why guns are not good, even for earlobe piercings. So I got my first earlobe piercings when I was coming up to a 12th birthday, I think? Yeah, it would have been 8 weeks before my 12th birthday, because around Christmas and birthday, my mum got me a load of pairs of earrings because they were my first earrings. I had that done and they went relatively alright and they healed okay until I had them healed long enough. I had them in for 8 weeks. I decided I was going to take the earrings out and I could not get them out. In the end, I had to return to the jewellers I got my ears pierced with a gun at, and I had to have them like pulled out with pliers. That hurt. The piercing itself didn't hurt me. What hurt was trying to remove the back off. When they removed the back of it, it made me bleed again. So I had to have my ears heal. I had to have my ears heal all over again, but at least this time I could put in a different pair of earrings that I could actually take the backs off. Technically, I still have my first ever pair of earrings, which are in a jewellery box. I can't wear them because if I wore them, they'd get stuck to my ears again. So they're just forever encased in my jewellery box. So a couple of years go by, I'm now 14, and I decide I want to get my second lobes done. And so I go to a pharmacy to get them done. As I said, don't judge me. At the time, this was only my second piercings and stuff, and I didn't think to look this stuff up on the internet and things like that. I didn't think to go to Google and go like, how do you have your ears pierced properly? So I thought guns were going to be fine. I went to the chemist, pharmacy area, and had my ears pierced with a gun for a second time. Only you can't accurately line up a piercing gun. No matter what you say, you can't accurately line it up. And my ears were pierced far too close to my original hole. Like to the point where the 2 earrings would push against one another and it would hurt. I had to take them out because it just was so wrong. It just hurt so much because of the way that it had happened. So begrudgingly, I took my earrings out, waited for them to heal over, and finally went to a proper piercer to have it done with a needle and got my second lobes done with a needle. And that is why you don't use guns, that is why you always make sure you have backup jewellery, and that is why you never do piercings at home, because you could bleed out and die. So that's my little TED talk for the time being, and I hope that this video teaches some people what the horrors of piercings going wrong can be. And if you think you're getting your ears pierced, please, for the love of God, go to somewhere that has a good reputation, and that if they do offer you a choice of gun or needle, always choose needle. Because some professional places will use guns for lobe piercings simply because often lobe piercings are the first piercings you ever get, usually, and there's this misconception that they're less painful. I can confirm that guns are far more painful than a needle. A needle is the way to go, okay? So that is my video. I hope you enjoy it, and for now I'll say toodle pip or bean and see you next time. Bye!